Two Iraqi activists have again burned a copy of the Quran in Sweden, this time outside the parliament in Stockholm. The protests have caused anger in Muslim countries and raised questions about Sweden's policy on freedom of expression.
The banking giant HSBC says its profits have more than doubled as it benefited from rising interest rates. Europe's largest bank reported profits before tax of almost $22 billion.
The ratings agency Fitch has downgraded its credit rating for the US government, citing what it described as an erosion of governance in America, as well as rising deficits. The White House has criticised the move.
The Italian goalkeeper Gianluigi Buffon has retired from football at the age of 45. During nearly 3 decades, Buffon won the World Cup with Italy in 2006 and a string of league titles.
Participants from the United States have pulled out of the World Scout Jamboree in South Korea, citing scorching temperatures as the organisers weighed whether to cut short the event. Hundreds of teenagers have been treated for heat-related illnesses as temperatures soared to 35 degrees Celsius in recent days.
The organisers of the World Scout Jamboree in South Korea have ended the event early because of an incoming typhoon. They say the government notified them that it was no longer safe to hold the gathering that had attracted more than 40,000 young people. The European Union's Climate Observatory has confirmed that July was the hottest month ever recorded on Earth. The average temperature was 16.6 degrees Celsius, a third of a degree higher than the previous record set 4 years ago.
Strong winds and rain are continuing to batter southern Japan as Typhoon Kunun brushes past the island of Kyushu on its way towards South Korea. Flights and trains have been cancelled, while thousands of homes are without power. North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un has sacked his top general and called on the military to step up preparations for the possibility of war. The comments appear to be a response to planned drills later this month by South Korea and the United States.
China has threatened to take forceful measures in response to a visit to New York by Taiwan's Vice President. William Lai is making a stopover on his way to Paraguay, one of the few countries that maintain diplomatic relations with Taiwan.
Russia's currency has fallen below 100 rubles to the dollar, its lowest in nearly 17 months. It's been facing pressure with growing military spending due to the Ukraine war.
Russia's central bank has hiked its key interest rate by a massive 3.5%. It now stands at 12%. The authorities are trying to halt the plummeting value of the ruble, which 24 hours ago slid to 100 to the dollar.
North Korea has said the American soldier who crossed into the country from the south last month had wanted to seek refuge. In Pyongyang's first comments on Travis King, state media said he'd harboured ill feeling against the US Army. England have beaten co-hosts Australia 3-1 in the semi-final of the Women's Football World Cup in Sydney. They'll face Spain in the final on Sunday.
Police in South Korea have accused North Korean hackers of targeting joint military exercises between Seoul and Washington that began on Monday. They said no classified military information was accessed.
Spain have beaten England 1-0 in a fiercely contested final of the Women's Football World Cup in Australia. They won despite late English pressure. Spain missed a second-half penalty. The match was watched by millions of TV viewers around the world.
Japan says it will start releasing treated radioactive water from the crippled Fukushima nuclear power plant on Thursday. More than 1 million tonnes of the wastewater will be discharged into the Pacific Ocean. India is hoping later today to become the first country to land a spacecraft near the south pole of the moon, days after the failure of a similar Russian mission.
Japan has begun releasing treated radioactive water from the wrecked Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean. The procedure has been approved by the UN's nuclear watchdog, but there's public concern over its safety in Japan itself and in neighbouring countries.
The authorities in Russia say they've recovered flight recorders and 10 bodies from the site where Yevgeny Prigozhin's plane crashed, killing all on board. The Kremlin has denied ordering the assassination of President Putin's former close aide, who led a brief mutiny 2 months ago. North Koreans living abroad will be allowed to return to the country as it continues to relax border restrictions imposed during the COVID-19 pandemic. The state news agency said those returning would have to go into quarantine for 7 days.
The world's biggest selling car maker, Toyota, has suspended operations at all 14 of its factories in Japan. The company has blamed a glitch in its production system. Toyota hasn't revealed the cause of the problem, but has ruled out a cyber attack.
Japanese ministers, including the Prime Minister, have tucked into a lunch, including raw seafood from Fukushima, to convince people the release of wastewater from the wrecked nuclear plant there is safe. Fumio Kishida is quoted as saying the sashimi had great texture.
시청해 주셔서 감사합니다. 다음 시간에 뵙겠습니다.